Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Raise the Vibe with Liz. I'm your host, Liz Peterson, and I am really excited about today's guest that I have. I am hosting Hendon, who is the soon-to-be author of the book, How to Live a Grateful Life in a Fucked Up World. And I'm really enjoying this book, everybody. I'm really glad that I got to read it. And I think we're all blessed to have Aaron in the world doing the work that he's doing today. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Aaron, he is currently the CEO and Chief Meditation Evangelist at the Mindful CEO. Also, a top producing award-winning real estate agent since 2013, who's coached over 10,000 people in ontological leadership and led programs to elevate performance for groups of 200 plus since 1995. Is currently teaching mindfulness and performance training for real estate and sales professionals, people who are tired, overwhelmed, and done with the grind harder, hustle faster religion. Aaron, welcome to the show.
Liz, thank you so much. What a cool introduction. Yay. I love it. Yes, I forgot about the hustle religion. That's good.
I
I
love
forgot
that
about that
because
line. That's a good line.
I am so done with the hustle religion.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, burnout is a badge of honor and how busy I am. Oh, well, fuck you. I'm busier than you. Like that whole world is so it would be really nice to be done with it. It'd be really nice to have that retired and move into a world where we're the most important things are the most important things, and we just don't live in that world right now.
I agree. And maybe with this and things that other people are doing, it'll help everybody to come into that state of being and into a state of flow, like you talk about in your book. Aaron, what led you to be doing what you're doing today?
Um, well, a bunch of different factors, a lot of things flowed into this. So one is, I've been meditating since I'm on and off since I'm in my 20s. So it's in that world of meditation and Alan Watts and Zen and Eastern mysticism and things like that for a long time. And then in that space, what would be today considered experimenting with plant medicine and ecstatic dance, right? At the time, we just called it following the Grateful Dead, and I did that for many years and took a lot of LSD and a lot of parking lots. And so there's always been that sort of interest in that space. And then somewhere in my 30s, I did a program called the Landmark Forum, and that blew my mind. It was the closest I've ever had to experiencing what Alan Watts was talking about. So you read Alan Watts and you get a vision of what he's talking about Zen, about Wu Wei, about, non-doing, about going with the flow, and you get that view of Taoism and life. And but it's all an intellectual knowledge. It was all an intellectual knowledge for me up until the time I did the forum. And then I was like, oh, this is what that feels like. So that turned me on. And I, frankly, have been leading programs with Landmark since 1995 now, um, because it's such a great tool for that. So I did that. And those things were that way. And, I went through my life, tripping through my life and worked for Landmark for a while. And then I started in real estate in 2013 and moved from city to city and wound up here in Seattle. And then, um, and then on Vashon. And I was at a retreat with Kale, my wife, who and she's the best thing I have in my life. I just married 28 years and my best friend and my partner and for everything. And we were at a tantric yoga retreat. So this really special time together. We were at Napa Valley, this beautiful location. We got two grown kids. They're both still speak to us. That's a win. Uh, I had five deals in escrow. So circumstantially, I had made it, This was it. This was all the stuff. And yet in my chest, there was this tightness and this anxiety and this fear. And I thought, this is really inconsistent with my circumstances. This doesn't make any sense. Why is there jazz music going on when everything's working? And it occurred to me in that moment, like a moment of satori, a moment of enlightenment. And I got, oh, the game I'm playing in life is get enough. Like, oh, when I get enough, then I'll be happy. If I get enough, then I won't be worried. Get enough. And, in that moment, it was clear that's an insane game to play. That's just this it's a dumb use of my life, and it's an unwinnable game. It's a game that you can't win. And it's always going to leave me upset, especially because I'm a Jew from New York. So I have genetically encoded worry as a phenomenon. My people's expression is things are never so bad they can't get worse. That was the life that I had. And it occurred to me in that moment, like, okay, well, what else could I do? What other game could I play? What else would make a difference? And I took on, rather than having my brain just be a feral dog and have it go down whatever squirrel it wanted to chase, which would always leave me worried, anxious, upset. What if I had agency over my attention? What if I could rest my thoughts on things that I wanted to, like gratitude or happiness or joy or fulfillment? If I could just rest myself on those spaces, what would that be like? And I realized that that's what meditation does. That's what meditation is for, to train your brain. And I thought, okay, so revivified my meditation practice, got back into it, started to get really, really powerful results like peace of mind, and uh, realized this would be useful to train my real estate team in this because every coach in the world talks about mindset, but it's all commentary or recommendations, or that would be nice, but no one gives you the recipe. No one's like, here, do this. Take these actions every day and you'll get a positive mindset. No one's offering that. And I thought, oh, all right, I could offer that. And I got myself certified as a mindfulness instructor. And I stopped. Liz, you'll know where this is, and anyone who's listens and knows where we live. I was on the highway right next to at the stop sign next to the old where the propane plant blew up across from what I still call Sound Food, but whatever it is, the consignment shop, but it's Sound Food. And I realized I was not worried anymore. Like it had disappeared. Like it was bizarre. It was like, what do you mean that's gone? It was the first time in my life I didn't have a boot sitting on my chest. And I thought, this is great. I should train people in this. This is really good. And I put together a 9-week training and I put my sales team through it, my real estate team through it, and they increased their sales by 160%.
Wow.
And I would have been happy if they were just calmer, if they were just more grounded, but they improved their sales more than double. And over the last 2 years, I've had about 300, 400 people in it, and super common for people to double their sales, to have increase in performance. That's way inconsistent with the way I think about meditation. And I thought, oh, I should take the manual that I put together to teach this course and put it in a book. And that's the upcoming book, is just the coursework and the meditations that we do. Um, and that's sort of how I came to this. Believe it or not, that's the short version. So there you
That's awesome. I love that story. Thank you for sharing that with us.
go.
And you were talking about the benefits, and I really want to focus on the benefits of mindfulness, meditation, and you attribute their increase in performance to this training. So tell us a little bit about this training, and then a few more things about what you saw in the groups that you were teaching.
Mhm. Sure. Um, well, the training itself is really just meditation. It's really not. I mean, there was in real estate. I don't know what it is, and for other salespeople, as a real estate agent. I know if I go to a sales training, it's going to be in scripts. It's going to be in objection handling. It's going to be how to use AI to craft more social content or some bullshit like that. It's going to be in techniques that directly impact or are attempting to directly impact the action of real estate, the action of attracting more people. Um, and I didn't do any of that. All I did was train them how to meditate. And So there's a couple things that I would attribute their increase in sales to. And I've now begun to test this with other people, other teams, other agents. I mean, I had my first six-figure quarter last year and I didn't do any more work to get it. I've had the woman who owns the brokerage I was part of 7 years ago participate. And she wrote to me in a really hard time in her life that her office did more that quarter than they did all year combined. So I've got enough evidence now for myself that this works. So I'm interested in why this works. And one of the things is super simple, and it's counterintuitive though about meditation, but once you hear it, you'll be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Is that the only thing that produces result is action. I'm very clear that no one meditates and gold falls out of the sky. That's not a thing. You have to act. And if you want new results, you have to take new actions. And I don't think anyone argues about that. You want doing the same thing over and over, expecting new results, never going to work. Okay, good. So you can't get that. Then the way you act is always and only a function of the way the world occurs to you. Meaning, as an example, if I'm playing tennis for some reason, and I don't play tennis, but if I were on a tennis court and Roger Federer served me a ball, it would occur like a bullet. And my actions would be to duck and probably cry, right? It would not be anything that I could do anything with. It would occur as a threat. But if I had the training of a Rafael Nadal, I would return that serve because he's old and I can do that, right? So you only act in the way things look. It's the same ball being served, but it looks differently to different people. They can do different things with it. So if the only thing that's going to produce a result is action, and you need to take new actions to get new results, and you're only going to act on the way the world occurs to you, then your only access to producing new results is to find a new way to see things. You've got to see things newly to get new actions. And it's not common to train people to see things newly, but that's what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is, oh, what does this cup feel like in my hand? What is the temperature of the water while I'm washing the dishes? What do my feet feel like on the ground? What's actually happening here in this moment? And I'm looking at this moment, not like every other fucking moment. Oh my God, can we just get through this? Which is really a common way for me to operate in life. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form unique about that. As opposed to, wait a minute, this is what my feet feel like right now. And this is the way things look. And oh, I've never noticed that. Ellen Langer is sort of the godmother of modern mindfulness, has a exercise to increase mindfulness that just notice three new things. Just notice three new things. When you brush your teeth, see if you can notice something new about your face every day. Increasing your capacity to take in, the Buddhists talk about it, beginner's mind. Zen is about beginner's mind. Not knowing the answer before you've looked. All of that begins to open up new pathways to act and new ways to act when you're in those pathways. So that's one thing that opened up for the agents and the people that began to meditate. And then the other thing I think that's really key, because is people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And again, I don't think that's an argument that anyone in sales is going to have. No one's going to have an argument with that. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. That's just always the way that goes. Well, if the salesperson is grounded, centered, and calm, they're easier to trust than if they're frantic, upset, chaotic, pressured. I got to make that sale. I got to do that. I got to do this. You got to sign on the line that is dotted. If I'm okay in the moment, I occur for you as trustworthy or more trustworthy. I have a higher opportunity to occur as trustworthy, let's say it that way, than if I were not present. And that's made an enormous difference for people. Those two things, seeing things newly and being grounded and trusting themselves, trusting life, which is one of the things that opens up out of meditation, is that you just get that you're okay now and okay now. And that very little, all the catastrophizing we do isn't true. It's not useful. It's not even happening. What's happening now is I'm sitting and I'm taking a breath. That's okay. I'm okay. And just that changes the brain, changes the physiology. There's nothing woo-woo about this. There's nothing, I mean, okay. I have a cabin in the woo-woo woods. I fly the woo-woo flag. I know this is a woo-woo show, and no one has a problem with woo-woo, and I do not have a problem with woo-woo. And this is also explainable by neuroscience. And we're clear that, I mean, if you really look, there's a great book called No Mind, No Problem, How Neuroscience is Catching Up to Buddhism, which is really just saying the woo was right all along.
Mhm.
But you're changing your brain. You're actually changing your brain when you meditate. The same way diet and exercises changes the body, the same phenomenon is happening when you sit for 10 minutes. You're changing your brain. You're thinning your amygdala and you're increasing the neuronal activity in your prefrontal cortex. You're becoming more responsive and less reactive. And that lasts when you're not on the cushion, when you're not intentionally doing it, your brain has just been changed. Like the muscle is there when you need it. Sort of a Mr. Miyagi kind of wax on, wax off, like wax the car, and then that muscle's there when you need it. Sit for 10 minutes, and then that muscle's there for when you need it, not to freak the fuck out when bad things happen.
Mhm.
So I think that's what's
Yes,
happening as far as I can tell, that's what's happening in the cohorts.
that's amazing. And it's so true. When you start doing this, your life starts to change. You slow down, you become more responsive, you become more observant. I have to say that towards the end there, when you said, you just slow down, or I'm not remembering your exact words right now, but to bring a little bit of woo in, all of the sudden, right over top of your head to your right, started forming a really beautiful turquoise light blue as you just started to ground down into your body as you spoke those
I
words. I
love
think
that.
that was really beautiful.
Yeah, it's
And
great. Yeah, I
mindfulness.
absolutely want to take back anything. Just let me take back anything I left in the space about dishonoring the woo, because I'm clear. Woo is only the stuff that science hasn't caught up enough to explain. That's the only thing that woo is.
I did not think anything about that at all. And I
Okay,
know
good.
that all of our listeners
Okay,
won't
okay, good.
either. And I think that it's completely amazing that science is catching up to the woo and can now, prove
Yes,
all of these different things through neuroscience and different tests and activities that they're doing these days. And it's super exciting because it's taken a long time for science to catch up. I want to circle
yes,
back to the neuroscience of it for a little bit because you do talk about in your
sure.
book RAS,
Mm,
reticular
yep,
activating system, and wiring our brain. And
yep,
I think that gratitude and meditation rewires our brain. So, talk a little bit about that.
yes. Sure. Well, we are inundated with, I'm now not flat on the number of bits of information every second, but some ridiculous amount of information is available to us at any given moment, right? We either have the receptors to pick it up, like the smells that our dog smells is available for us to smell. We just don't have the neuronal receptors for it. The spectrum of light is limited for us, and there's other wavelengths that we could pick up if we had the receptors to pick it up. Doesn't mean it's not there. It's just we don't have the receptors to pick it up. So there's an enormous amount of data coming at us at any given time. And even given the receptors we have, there's more coming at us than we could possibly process as fast as it's all coming in. So we limit the amount of information that we get. We have a way of filtering the information that we get. And the default filter system we have is a survival based filter system. It is designed to seek and avoid threats. And that's, natural selection has, the bush moved. So let's assume it's a tiger and run. And those people procreated and the bush moved and let's go check it out. Those people died and didn't procreate. So over time, our brains have developed into threat avoidance devices. And we're really good at that. If you're listening to the show, your brain has done an amazing job at having you survive, period. It's just not wired to have you thrive. It's not, the default is not to have you thrive. The default is just to have you make it to the next day. So your reticular activating system is on the hunt for threats by default. It's going to find the problems. It's been referred to as a negativity bias. It's designed to have you see what's fucked up so that you can avoid it or deal with it or whatever. But that doesn't mean it's the only thing you could train your brain to look for. You don't have to look for only threats. You can actually tune it. And I have found that gratitude meditation is one of those practices that if you can find a way to hold the threats, the disappointment, the things you're resigned about, the upsets, the grief you feel for the shit that happened, if you can find a way to hold that, you can then tune yourself into something else. And I say that because the normal device that we use is something like a gratitude journal where I'm going to try and plaster over the stuff that's not working, like you would put icing on dog shit and pretend it tastes like cake. It's toxic positivity or it's spiritual bypassing. You're not, how you doing? Fine. Oh, dude, I can see you're not fine. There's no, come on, man. Like, no, you're not fine. Things are fucked up around you. That, you've had a hard situation. How do you feel? You got to find a way to handle all that. And so, and then you can, in fact, tune your RAS to something else. If it's not preoccupied with avoiding the pain and you can just find a way to hold it, you can then tune yourself into, oh yeah, and my socks are dry and this cup of coffee is delicious and I have cleaner water in my toilet than most of the world has to drink. And I live in Paris. You can then begin to rest your awareness on what's working. And then, so we'll get back to how to hold the grief. But once you're tuned into that, that's a vibration. Why it's funny, I bypassed that whole part of this. Why I got interested in this at all was uh, just a base level law of attraction, sort of. If I vibrate at the level of gratitude, then the universe will provide me more things to be grateful for. That sort of base level attraction model. And I was like, well, how do I get to gratitude without spiritual bypassing or trying to gaslight myself into everything's okay? Because the world's fucked up. It's not fucking okay. It's really problematic. But how do I hold all that in a way that would still leave me grateful for what I am grateful for? Because despite the horror, I actually am grateful for stuff. So how do I hold all that? And it's so funny that I didn't say it that way the first time, Liz, because so many of the shows and so many of the conversations I'm having are more um, air quoting professional sales things where the woo is not really what we're talking about. But that was really the basis of it was like, all right, how do I get to gratitude? And then I wrestled for a long time with, Esther Hicks's sort of, would she or they have appreciation above gratitude on the vibrational scale? And I really wrestled with, I'm arguing with Abraham. This doesn't make any sense. Why would I argue with a spiritual entity? This is not a smart move. But I have gratitude defined in a particular way that it really does wind up working. And I am clear that if we eliminated the language barriers about it, we'd be talking about the same thing. Um, but there you go. So that's the RAS is, you're tuning your radio. You're tuning yourself into the frequency of what you are grateful for.
Mm-hmm. You talked a little bit about, just dropped it in the field, about emotion avoidance and toxic positivity.
Yes.
And I think that a lot of people
Yeah, or
can
spiritual
think,
bypassing.
yeah, spiritual bypassing, that they can just sit down with the journal and be like, grateful for my house, and I'm grateful for this coffee, and like it's gonna shift and like make everything okay. But
No,
really,
really not.
I feel it's like coming down into the emotion, like really being able to
Yeah.
feel it in your body, in your soul, before you can reach that depth of gratitude that you're talking about in your book.
Yeah.
So, talk a little, because you do have a little bit in a chapter about that toxic positivity.
Yeah. I've worked it out into a framework of 5 A's. So the path to gratitude, you can't just skip the gratitude. Skipping the gratitude is not going to work because you don't have you're basically attempting to gaslight yourself, and that just is untenable. Um, so the 5 A's are awareness. So first you get aware. Meditation is perfect for that because that's what meditation is. It's waking up. You're just becoming aware. Aware of what? I don't know how my chest feels in this moment. What's happened? That thing just happened. That client didn't call me back, or whatever. Kale said something to me that I didn't like, or whatever. Something happens, or somewhere on what passes for news, one of the idiots in charge of life does what the idiots in charge of life do, and now I got to go deal with that. So you become aware of how that impacts you. Like, where in my body do I feel it? What does it feel like? I like to use, does it have a color? Does it have a shape? Byron Katie's questions, is that true? Useful question. But just you begin to get in the presence of how it is to be you. And then the next two tend to really are the where the practice really comes in, and that's allowance and acceptance. And those are the things that we generally have to work on. So first we allow it, meaning we don't argue with reality. That happened. You know, that person said that, that person did that. I'm now, unemployed, or I now have this to deal with. I'm not going to argue with it. I'm not going to start and arguing with it sounds like this shouldn't have happened to me, or why did this happen to me, or I'm angry that this happened to me. All of that stuff is useless and is counterproductive in a space of having that thing get resolved for you. You have to allow it. Why? Because it happened. What are you gonna? I mean, what are your options really? You need to learn to allow it. And then accepting it is slightly different than allowing it. Accepting it is once you've allowed it. I think the metaphor I like for this is if I had a dirty jacket and I brought it to the dry cleaner, they could allow me in the store, but it's not getting clean till they accept the jacket. They have to accept the job of cleaning it for it to get clean. So I've allowed this situation to happen, and now I accept that maybe I have something to say about what happens from here. I accept that this is the way it is, and it's not any other way, and I am living the life of someone who has this situation in it. And if I'm living the life of someone who has this situation in it, then I got something to say about how I handle it from here. I've accepted it. It doesn't mean agreement. So many people think this means agreement or acquiescence or even surrender, or not surrender, but like giving up. Um, or being resigned to it is not the same thing as accepting it. Being resigned to it is not accepting it. Resignation is you're fighting against accepting it. So once you accept it, you then have some space. And those three things, aware, allow, and accept, will take as long as they take. And for some hard things in life, it could take years. And you may keep coming back to it because we're, not wired for that, and other things can trigger it and blah, blah, blah. So there's all sorts of, it's not on a timeline. There's no way it's supposed to look. And when you have accepted it, even momentarily, a space opens up where you can find something to appreciate. You lose a loved one and you can find a place to appreciate the time you spent together. You don't have to get wrapped up, or you can still be sad and grief stricken. You're not pretending you're not. You've accepted that. You allowed yourself to be grief stricken. You're feeling that in your heart. You know what that's like. you've lost any further future with that person, having dinner with them, all the different things that are gone are really gone. And that's really makes you sad. And that's all part of what there is to accept. Your sadness, your grief, all of that. And then in that space of accepting it, you can then say, and, not but and. How lucky was I to have that in my life? And the moment you go from appreciating it to appreciating it as a gift, you're in gratitude. So my notion of gratitude is it's when you appreciate something or someone as a gift. And that's different than just necessarily appreciating it. This came to me particularly, this got resolved for me because I went to the Chihuly Museum. And yeah, have you ever been?
No, I've never been.
Okay. It's one of those things like the, Space Needle, the Statue of Liberty in New York, like you don't go if you're a resident. Um, but it's mind blowing. It was mind blowing. It was like this is this is unbelievable. His work is not normal. It's stunning. And I was in the presence of appreciation, but it wasn't gratitude. I didn't really have gratitude for it. It wasn't like this was not a gift to me. I didn't own it in any particular way. I could just really appreciate it. I mean, I can find gratitude in it, but it wasn't there initially. It was like, oh, that's the difference between appreciation and gratitude. Is appreciation is I can appreciate a sunset, but if that sunset occurs as a gift to me, oh, that's gratitude. So I get to have life occur as a gift. So, the quote that sort of anchors this idea is from Francis Weller, where he says, um, "The work of the adult, the work of the mature adult, is to hold grief in one hand and gratitude in the other, and to be stretched large by them." And that, for me, says the whole thing. You're not here to let go of grief. You're not here. It's not like, well, I'll be grateful when I'm done grieving or when things aren't fucked up. It's can I be with how fucked up things are and be grateful for whatever I'm grateful for? Can I do both? And the more I grieve, the deeper my gratitude gets to be. You don't get to have one without the other. So it's that space that we're talking about. And I think that's the important part of the practice is that we don't even in the 9 weeks, we don't even get to gratitude till week 7. It's how to live a grateful life in a fucked up world. 6 weeks are just about awareness, allowance, and acceptance. Just practicing that muscle for 6 weeks.
Mm, I love everything you just said. And yeah, I love that quote. And that really takes me back to one of the first times I really felt what you're talking about after my mom passed away a couple years ago is that I found myself holding the grief of the passing of my mother. And also, all of these things, like life continues on. And then all of these moments occur in our lives as well, when there's birthdays or celebrations or your child has a win or something like that, where you are functioning through life holding both sides. You've got your grief in one hand, and then moments when you can experience that joy as well. So,
Yeah.
talk about this a little bit more for us, Aaron, about how we're able to hold grief and joy at the same time, taking it from the concept to experience, because I really do feel like those are two different things. And you have
Yeah.
many great analogies in your book that describe
Mhm.
this and other things.
Sure. Well, I think what you hit on is really important, Liz, is that, and it's sort of why I wrote the book the way I did and why I put it in a course the way I did, because there's nothing particularly unique about understanding what we just said. You know, nothing is particular, I mean, Francis Weller said it already. I mean, it's it's already out there. We know that intellectually. But how you move from understanding it to experiencing it is you practice. There's a reason why meditation is called practice. That's what it is. You're practicing. And what you're practicing is awareness, allowance, and acceptance. And so for people, look, people that actively meditate, you're already meditating, you know this. Nothing I'm saying is any you have this experience. It's not about emptying the mind. It's not about achieving bliss or nirvana in any given sit. It's not even particularly about how you feel after a sit. It's got nothing to do with any of that. It's simply the act of becoming aware and noticing what's happening. And you just become aware and notice what's happening for 10 minutes or whatever long you do it for. And just that builds that muscle. Like no one meditates to get good at meditation. Like no one lifts I have this as an analogy, but it's not quite true. Very few people lift weights to get good at lifting weights. I mean, unless you're an Olympic weightlifter or in some kind of competition, you're not lifting weights to get good at lifting round iron circles. That's not your motivation. You're not like, yeah, look how good I putting this over my head, unless you're into a competition for it. But there is no competitive meditating. I've looked because I thought, oh man, I would kick ass. This would be great. I could fucking sit up, crush you as a meditation. That's not a thing, there's no thing for that. Too bad though. Um, no, you lift, most people exercise, most people exercise so that they can lift their grandkids when they're 80, so they can get themselves out of a chair, later on in life. So, or maybe in that their body takes a form that they think another person or they would like to see it in. They want to they want to change the shape of their body in some way. But it's not so that they get good at the actual thing itself. The thing itself is a vehicle, and meditation is a vehicle. It's not a thing into itself. Now, that's tricky with meditation because the attempt to get someplace ruins the meditation. If you think of meditation but the big paradox for meditation anyway already exists because the Buddha already did this. He sat with the desire to lose his desires. Okay. Well, there you go. The paradox of meditation is baked into the meditation. So I'm not the one making that one up. The Buddha already nailed that. So we're meditating to lose the need or the desire to meditate. So that's a funny one thing. You can't Paradoxes are just the places where language fails to accurately describe something in reality. Paradoxes exist all over the place, so that paradox can be experienced by sitting. It just can't be languaged in any way that's useful. So we sit, we practice so that we have the experience of holding it all. And if you are one of the people that, don't meditate, many people have washed out, like 90% of the apps, 90% of the apps have like a 90% churn rate, the meditation apps, because of that exact conflict. Like the idea, the ego that says, hey, meditation would be really good for you, Liz. Let's meditate. That will calm you down and have you be more present like that. That's fine. It gets you to the door, but then you're listening to meditation and that voice that told you to get there is the voice that needs to shut the fuck up so you can actually get the benefits of meditation. And it's judging your quality of your meditation, and it has really no desire to shut the fuck up. It's not designed to do that. It's designed to make sure it is heard. So it's going to tell you, oh, you know what? This isn't working for you. Look how less calm you are. Look how you. So that's why I'm a big fan of getting a teacher to learn to meditate until you can get over that hump of the self-identification. Get a teacher. That's my courses are free, and there's weekly on Vashon, there's weekly Insight Meditation Center. There's weekly meditations everywhere in the country, at least on Zoom, anywhere. There's plenty of places to learn how to meditate for free. I would just get a teacher so that you could get over that hump. But that's how you move from understanding this to experiencing it, is the same way you move from understanding how to ride a bike to riding a bike. You get on the bike and you fall, and you get on the bike and you fall until you stop falling. And nothing I tell you about velocity or mass or equilibrium or any of that is going to make any difference. There's no language sufficient to give you what you get when you actually put your ass on the seat and you attempt to ride the bike. Language fails there completely, just like here.
Hmm. Yeah, it really does sometimes, doesn't it? To those out there who are like, oh my gosh, my brain won't be quiet. What do I do? I've tried over and over again. Even me the other day, full moon, day
Yeah.
before yesterday and the day before that, I sit down to meditate and I'm like, oh my God. Like my brain was racing and I know full well what it was. Like there's a lot going on. I had been sick,
Yeah.
excuse me. And I had tapped in a little bit too much to social media, which I don't do so much anymore. And there I was,
Oh, yeah. Good move. Yeah.
taxed, um, taxed system. My nervous system was just I
Yeah.
realized later like that was a little bit too much for me. And when I sat down to meditate, it was just like go. I'm like, oh my gosh, here it is. There it is, like in real time, like went online, scrolled a little bit too long, taxed my nervous system. Now I sit down and meditate and it's like, it just won't be quiet. Or to
Yeah.
the person who's like, I sit down and every single time I sit down, this is what happens. What do I do?
Yeah.
What would you say?
Good. So, first of all, there's, I mean, just cognitive behavioral science, right? Like you don't, if you, if scrolling is bad for you, then don't scroll. I mean, there's sort of simple things like that, right? Like you manage your well-being. It's not like, again, not mysterious in some way. I can't believe I'm gaining weight. All I eat is ice cream. I mean, no one says that. So it's, you know, it's not, it's sort of like that. Like, let me look at every piece of bad news that everyone has curated on my phone before I go to bed. No, not a good idea. So there's simple reality kind of practices like, okay, we're not going to do that. We're not going to feed my brain extra stressors. But in general, for learning to meditate, like the idea, and then there may be times where it's like, okay, my brain is too active to sit. So I'm going to go for a walk and I'm going to just slowly breathe. And getting outside, frankly, is almost always useful in those cases. Like as a practice, like, okay, sitting practice isn't going to do it for me today or right now. So I'm going to get myself outside. I'm going to go watch a leaf for a minute or find an ant and just watch the ant and watch that ant go and see what that ant does or whatever, right? So you can get your mind trained on something outside of you. And, nature is particularly useful because it's another expression of life. We are, it's another expression of the life we are. It's not, we're deeply connected to that. We're not, it's not outside of us. And we get to watch ourselves expressed like that. Like watching a child sleep makes it a little bit more clear, like, oh, wait, that's actually genetically half me. You can watch a leaf or watch a tree or watch a flower and just sit and know that you're seeing yourself reflected back that way. So that's one way that'll likely provide some grounding for you. Um, but the general principle of meditation is something people miss, and you spoke about it there. But so outside of the extreme, you have, drank 3 Red Bulls and scrolled for an hour, probably not a good idea to sit and meditate. Outside the extreme situation, um, just the idea that your brain is supposed to quiet down is a mistake. It's not the point of meditation. It's not what you're doing when you meditate. You're not out to empty your mind, and you're not even out to calm your mind down. Particularly, you're not out to do anything with your mind but to observe it. And so if it's upset, and you could observe that too. And the more you practice, the wavier it can be, and you could still sail it. So the metaphor for that, and you were talking about the analogies in the book, is, if you were going to train a dog, if you were going to train your puppy, one way to train a puppy is to put it in a box, and your job is to keep it in the box, right? Train it to be box. You're going to box train it. So I'm going to train it to be in the box, and it's going to try and get out of the box. That's its job. Puppy has a job. Its job is to get out. Your job is to keep it in. And the puppy gets out of the box, and you're friendly with it because it's a puppy. And who's going to yell at a puppy, please? You're friendly with it. You put it back in the box. It's really sweet, and you're free with it. And you have the deep recognition that I can't train it to stay in the box unless it tries to get out. I need it to do the thing I don't want it to do, so I can train it to do the thing I do want it to do. That's the way training works. And eventually you wind up with a trained dog. Eventually you wind up with your best friend. You wind up with like your best friend. This dog is a trained dog, and it sits at your feet, and it loves you, and it comes when you call, and it's your best friend. Except I don't know a lot of adults that think their brain is their best friend. And that's because we haven't trained our brain at all. We have a feral dog in our squirrel. We have a feral dog in our head that chases any random thought and takes it all the way to its completely illogical conclusion, the most upsetting conclusion it could come to, because it's a feral dog and it just does what it does. And then we're weirded out, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I can't be with my thoughts. Well, you haven't done anything to train your brain. Why would you think you could? And the training your brain looks like, if you were doing any kind of simple meditation, breath meditation, walking meditation, doesn't matter. But you breathe in, you notice what the air feels like in your nostrils. You breathe out, you notice what the air feels like as it comes out of your nostrils. Maybe you do that once, twice, maybe, and now you're making a list. Okay, I noticed the puppy's out of the box. I put the puppy back in the box. I put my I put my awareness back on my breath. That's all that happened, is your puppy got out of the box. It started making a list. That's okay. Now I come back. It's the coming back that's the meditation. You can't be present unless you first know you're not. The moment you know you're present, you're not present anyway, because now it's a knowledge that you're present. You're not actually present. Now you're thinking about being present. So all you're doing is, oh, I'm making a list. I'll let that go. This is the sensations of my breath. And then another breath or two. And now I'm completing that argument I had with that idiot online 3 weeks ago. And I know what I could have said, and that's great. So 5 minutes into that argument, oh yeah, wait, I'm not on my breath. And I come back to the breath, put the puppy back in the box. And now I take another 3 breaths, and I'm back down some other road talking about what I'm going to do tonight for dinner. And then I come back to the breath. And it's the returning to the breath that's the bicep curl. That's the exercise. That's what you're developing, is the ability to catch your mind in some state and coming back to the present. That's the meditation. It's not how you feel. I've had plenty of meditations where I feel more agitated when I'm done than when I started. It's not there to calm you down. It's not there to do any of that. You can't judge the quality of your meditation by how you feel before, during, or after. It's not like that. You just go to the gym and you work out and you do the exercises, and over time, you've built the muscle. That's all this is. From a practical practice standpoint, that's what you're doing, is you're just returning to the present. And any way you can find that is useful.
Well said, well said. And I love the puppy analogy, and it's so true.
Yeah, puppy analogy really works. Yeah. And then you get your brain as your best friend. Your brain's actually on your side. Just like a dog wants to be trained, dogs love being trained. I mean, really, they're much happier when they're like not running the show. And your brain is way happier if it's not, because it's not designed to be happy by itself. It's designed to stay alert for threats. You've got to train it away from that, because its default is to be on high alert. And given the environment in which we live, meaning the cultural, sociological, economic, geopolitical state of affairs we live in, where there's no such thing as a news cycle anymore. There's no news cycle. There's just one hold my beer moment after another for how fucked up things are going to get. And
Yep.
it's untenable unless you have some sort of training to fall back on. The Buddhists and the Navy SEALs have this saying, or they have the same philosophy in a certain way, which I think is really wild. When the Navy SEALs and the Buddhists have the same wherewithal, let's go. And that's you don't rise to the occasion, you sink to the level of your preparation.
Mhm.
And I think that's immensely useful because by meditating, you're preparing your brain. So when things get fucked up, you are going to sink to the level of your preparation. And if you haven't prepared, it's going to be a threat. And oh my God, we're all going to die. This is going to be terrible. And you're going to go live in that reality and have to deal with that. Or you're going to have prepared your brain. You'll be like, okay, what do we really know about this? What's the actual situation? What can I do about it? Oh, and how am I doing right now? And the answer to the question, how am I doing right now? If you eliminate all the mind traveling kind of threat, right now, the answer is almost always okay. And
Yeah.
it's virtually almost always okay. The moments where we're not actually okay in the moment are so far and few between in most people's lives that you can get in this moment, I'm okay. And look, how much more effective are you when you're grounded, calm, and centered to deal with even a crisis? No one operates better when they're pressured, frantic, and chaotic. Nobody.
Yeah.
So the opportunity is to train your brain to be calm, centered, and grounded so you can handle the next hold my beer moment because it's coming. God knows it's
It's
coming.
definitely coming these days. For sure. Yeah. And who do we want in charge? And I
Shit.
love that. That's one of my favorite things too, is like telling myself, okay, all of this is happening right now, but right now in this moment in my house, everything is okay. In my town,
Yeah.
sun is shining, everything is okay. I'm okay. Dog's okay. We're all
And it's
okay.
and that's not to put your head in the sand and
Mm-mm,
pretend la 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 everything's okay. That's not what that's saying.
mm-mm.
That's saying I'm okay here and now, and I can then accept responsibility for something that's fucked up. We're in Palestine or in DC or in Seattle or wherever. I can accept that's fucked up over there. And I have more of an opportunity to contribute something that'll make a difference if I'm not fucked up about it. That's it, you are not going to make a difference if you're fucking reactive about it. Mostly we don't have activists, we have reactivists. We have people that are reactivated about things, and that's not useful. It's not helpful. And much of the news, what passes for news, or much of what's being done is being done to keep you from being grounded, centered, and focused. It's designed to overwhelm and have you be knocked off center so that you can't respond potently. It's designed to do that.
I have
And
goosebumps.
you have an opportunity to prepare for that.
Yep. 100. Awesome.
Yeah, that's what
Oh,
I'm
I
out.
have
That's what I'm out to
goosebumps.
accomplish.
So true. I'm going to quote you
Yeah.
from your book. I'm going to piggyback on that. Life includes hardship, but gratitude allows us to embrace these experiences as part of our growth and to see them as something we appreciate, if only for the lesson they bring. I love that.
I still think that's true.
Yeah, me too. And for everybody out there, like, we're going there, the end of the show. It's a mess. It is fucked up. So, but
It's fucked up.
it's yeah, there's just no other way to put it. There's chaos everywhere. Um, what's your advice? What is your gem of wisdom for everybody who's listening right now that speaks
All right,
to
I got two.
how do we handle everything that's going on in the sphere of gratitude and meditation and holding
Yeah,
everything?
great. Well, two. So one is, as a meditation evangelist, I sort of I can't I do have this problem where if I hear something over in the corner of a room or I'm in or something, says my knee jerk is, but have you tried meditation? So I have that as an as sort of like a panacea. Like, have you tried to just sit and shut the fuck up for 10 minutes every day? Just quiet, right? So there's that, but that's not always useful because it's such a knee jerk. Not inaccurate, but nonetheless. Um, but I think the number one thing, and I say this in the book, and I say this in every cohort, and I say why it's so, and this is why get a teacher. And because every meditation teacher would say this, I am sure every meditation teacher would say this. Well, I don't know about every, so take that as space. Um, the number one thing you can do is be kind to yourself. The number one thing, if you got nothing else out of the training that I deliver, out of the book, out of any meditation, if you got nothing else out of this podcast, it would be to give yourself some grace, some space, be kind to yourself. We are untenably hard on ourselves. And it's so important that you just start with being loving and kind to yourself. You are doing the best version of you possibly can, given what you have. Every moment's a new moment, and you're not going to get there by if beating yourself up worked, it would have worked already. So let's just tell the truth. You can't do anything better than just being kind to yourself.
I love that. Thank you for that. That was beautiful. Yeah. And thank you, Aaron, for being a guest on the show. It's been such a pleasure to host you, and I love everything that you brought to me and our listeners today. So thank you. I am in gratitude for you and the work that you're doing right now.
Thanks, Liz. I'll let you know when the book comes out, and we can promote it, and we'll talk more about it. But look for it at the end in the middle of the summer right now. So.
Perfect. Yeah. And let me know when that comes out. We'll pop it down in the show notes. In the meantime, where can everybody reach you?
Great. AaronHendon.com, just my name.com is the easiest place to get the various things that I'm up to.
Awesome. Perfect. You heard it, everybody. AaronHendon.com, and be looking for his book to come out this summer. And if you want to circle back to the show notes to find that, I'll make sure that is popped into the show notes when that happens. All right, Aaron, thank you. It was awesome. Really appreciate you. And thank you, everyone who joined me today. Again, I'm Liz Peterson, and this is Raise the Vibe with Liz. And you can find me everywhere at Raise the Vibe with Liz and raisethevibewithliz.com. Thanks, everybody. And remember to get out there and raise the vibe. Bye, everybody.